Hey, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Taking Flight podcast. It's Megan, and we're going deep on this episode. It's going to be kind of a little vulnerable share for me. It's not something that's unknown to the world, but it's definitely something that I haven't talked about super publicly. But the whole essence of this episode is about the idea of going against the grain. So we truly live in a world where, right, we feel like there's the right way, the wrong way, the just so way to do a lot of things in life, namely just creating our own lives. We compare and contrast and think that there's just only one way, one answer to do it. And that sounds like very obviously like contrived, like there's only one way. But I'm just saying, we know we're up against kind of comparisonitis all of the time. And so often in life, it's really easy to make decisions based on other people's thoughts, musings, ideas, or even their decisions, or what we've just only known to do or see, or what's comfortable to us. And so I'm hoping this conversation can kind of help open up conversation about things that we do maybe differently in our lives that sometimes we feel a little bit, I don't know, maybe on the outside of the world or society or our friends group, because we do it differently, or empower you if you are maybe on the edge of thinking about something or hemming and hawing about if something is for you or not for you. This might be the nudge to empower you to figure out what it means just deep down, right inside of you, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. And although our decisions do affect other people in life and in this world, we're the ones that kind of go along this journey, and we have to be comfortable with what we do. And so for me, one of the biggest ways that I have kind of gone against the grain, what I've known to be, the way to be in life or the choices to make in life, is by choosing not to have children. So most people who know me closely know that Nathan and I, my husband and I, we have chosen not to have children. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. And mainly it's that we just don't feel called to do that. And it's such a big life choice to bring a human into this world and allow them to build a life and walk this earth. And if you're not 100% sure that that's something you want to do, at least for me, it was something that I wasn't going to just take lightly. And so I wanted to bring this up to the podcast because I know there's other people out there, and it might not be the same choice, but there's big things in our lives that feel a little bit kind of sticky because it's confusing. And for me, as a woman who will be 40 years old this year, I'm not shy to talk about my age. I think that's taboo, at least for me, but who will be 40 this year, you can see question marks in people's minds. When I meet new people, it's like, oh, do you have kids? It's like one of the first things people ask, especially women. And it's kind of, for me, it's not awkward because I'm very much A, open, and B, comfortable in my decision. But it's still awkward in the sense that people don't know how to respond to it because, they're not sure if it's by choice or if it's by, there's been troubles or whatever the case may be, and they don't know how to respond. I've had people go, oh, good for you, like, kind of a thing, like, great idea, because they're just not sure what to say. Or I've had people kind of be like, oh, that's okay, like, kind of making sure my feelings aren't sad or hurt or whatever. And I usually immediately follow up with, it's by choice and I love children and all the things. It's just not something that I feel called to doing biologically. And it just opens up sometimes an interesting conversation. And it's, in my life, it's probably one of the biggest things I have ever and will ever go against the grain on. And it just is one of those things where you never know what kind of feelings or emotions or conversations are going to come up with it. And I wanted to share this because I want people to feel comfortable in their choices in life. And especially if they are ones that feel maybe a little ostracized or, I don't know how everybody's going to feel or take or think about this. I go through a myriad of emotions when this topic comes up because there's a feeling as a woman that Am I less than because I don't have children, right? I know that's not true. Let me really quickly, so you're not like, no, Megan, that's not true. I know that's not true, but we all also know that real life thoughts come in our heads, right? And is it I'm less than because I don't have children, and it's so different, right? You know, most people I know, although I do have a handful of people in my life who have also, you know, don't have children by choice, but it's still in the minority, right? And so it does feel a little bit weird and kind of on the outside, and I never want to feel unrelatable or different, right? None of us do. Nobody really does in anything in life. And this is no different for me. And I still share, like, I have 9 nieces and nephews. I've been an aunt since I was 12. I have, you know, friends whose kids are like nieces and nephews to me. I was a preschool teacher. I'm a kid magnet. Literally, my husband will always say, oh my gosh, if there's a kid like out in the world or, you know, on an airplane. Actually, that happened one time. I had stickers all over my face by the end of a flight because this kid was just so comfy with me. We were having a great time. I'm a kid magnet. So it feels really weird, this kind of duality of being somebody who loves kids, gets kids, really loves enriching their lives in so many different ways throughout my career, just in my personal life, all of it. But I don't feel called to having my own. It feels like the actual definition of going against the grain. Like, it's like, oh, it feels so weird, but it also is very empowering to make a choice that you know is best for you. Also, a lot of times this conversation, we went to a brewery. This was a couple summers ago. Nathan and I were just kind of like, oh, let's go have a couple drinks and play some games. They had a shuffleboard, all the things. And we were there, and there was this older couple that they were meeting their adult age children a little bit later that afternoon, but they were, you know, hanging out, just them two for a while. So we played a couple games with them, and, you know, of course, conversation gets rolling, and they, oh, do you have kids? And we said no. And then, you know, the conversation moved into, yeah, you know, it's by choice, you know, jokes, laughs, all the things. And then the husband uttered the idea of, well, who's going to take care of you when you're older? And I thought to myself, wow, that's an interesting reason to have children, just to be taken care of when you're older. And it stopped me in my tracks, because how often have we all made choices in our lives based on the fear of what could happen if we don't do it in such a way? Or what might be, you know what I mean? Like, what is it going to look like? Or what? I only really have a roadmap of people who have done this in this way. And if I don't do it that way, I'm on my own. I'm like just out there, a pioneer, if you will. Also, right, there's plenty of people out there in the world, generations before me, who have also went down this road for one reason or another, and they're all right? They've lived their lives. They've made it through, for better or for worse, right? Depending on their story. But my story is that when they said that to me, I was like, you could have 10 kids and none of them will take care of you. Like, that's, to me, it was just like an interesting kind of headbutting moment of, well, that's not a reason to make a choice, right? And that could go for any type of choice or anything that you're feeling you're going against the grain on, right? There's going to be those really like interesting takes on something that you're like, well, that doesn't apply to me because that's not the way I'm thinking about it. And so, if nothing else with this episode, I hope it helps you open up conversations with people. It helps you understand your own choices and feel empowered in them, because I know within my own feelings that it feels kind of like there's always these little stair steps of nudges of, oh, well, that feels a little bit spicy or uncomfortable or unknown, because it is unknown. And the choice feels like it's on the other side of, right, where a lot of people end up landing. And it's a beautiful thing that we live in a world that we can make choices based on what we really know to be true in ourselves. If you know me, the people who know me super personally, like family, friends, right, all the things. And even if you know me a little bit more distantly, like in my community, all the things, you know that if I want to do something, I make it happen. So I promise you, if I wanted to become a mother or have a child, I absolutely would find a way, whether it was through natural or adoption or fostering, all the things. And so I say that to assure kind of the world that when we know, right? We know when something is right for us and wrong for us, but sometimes we get in that gray area, that kind of dilution, if you will, of choices. And so for me, it's like I am headstrong. And when I want to start a business, I'm gonna start a business. When I want something to look a certain way, when I want that new pathway to open up, I will do that. And so when you know deep down, especially with big life decisions, that something is right, wrong, or even indifferent, and you're going to wait and see what it feels like later, trust it. Trust it. This is me reminding you that your intuition, even if you're not attached to it too well, or maybe you don't feel like you're an intuitive person, we all are, but some of us feel a little more disconnected to it because we haven't allowed ourselves to tap into it more. I am real tapped into my intuition, but here's my reminder to get quiet with it for you, for yourself, right? Start seeing when you are thinking about choices, right? Whether they're little small everyday choices or bigger choices. Usually for me, how I've built my intuition and my inner knowing, right? That like, I'm going to make this choice that is absolutely kind of feeling like it's against the grain of what is expected, right? Of someone like me, I suppose. The quiet, simple ones are where you're going to learn better how to listen to your inner voice and how to choose to go against the grain when that is the choice that's for you, or to stay in the lane that you're in because that is where you are shining and just flowing. It's such a beautiful thing. You are in the absolute power of being in the driver's seat of that. Yeah. And I'm an open book about this. So if anybody has questions, or maybe you're in the same boat, maybe you have made a big life decision like this and you want to talk about it more, I'm here for that as well. And even if it's not the same big life decision, but you feel like, oh, I feel I can be more open about this and have some conversations, I'm here for that as well. If nothing else, I always want this to be a safe space for us to explore conversations and explore spaces that maybe feel a little taboo or feel a little bit kind of confusing and all of the things. And I don't know what the next 40 years of my life will feel like with this choice in hand, right? With this card in my hand. Yeah. I don't know. And I suspect that it's going to be a lot of those same conversations of, well, what are you going to do when you're older? Or, all the things that come with it. Just the funny kind of responses, the deflection, I don't know how to even navigate that. So I'm just going to kind of move over here and wish I never asked that question. And it's also my job, right, for myself to navigate it and communicate it, what feels best for me. And so that's partially why it's sitting here on an episode on a podcast, because I want it to have its own space and place to live in the world, to create safety for others who are making choices for themselves that are best, but maybe don't feel the best at first, or maybe feel a little bit wonky in the society that we live in. And I'm ready for that roller coaster. Are you ready for yours? Whatever that might look like. I think it's kind of cool, right? If we are able to jump on the ride and you're kind of going, well, I've seen it a little bit. Like there's people in my life, my family, friends group out in the community that have gone before me that are, in more advanced stages of life that have made the same choice, but my life won't look just like theirs either. But I kind of have a little bit of a dream sequence in a movie that I'm like, okay, I see how that looks, right? I see how that feels, right? For me, my goal is to be the wackiest, weirdest aunt there ever was. I'm definitely going to be just that, like the aunt in the movie that's wearing all the weirdest things and like at the family party saying goofy things. That's like hey, like I'm gonna fill my life with all the things that feel good for me. That's what I see in my dream sequence of what this looks like. And whatever it is for you, can you have a comical look at where you're going with your decisions? Can you bring some levity to it? I think when we bring levity and lightness to the hard parts and the kind of the crux of life, we can all benefit from that in such a beautiful way. I think it's really important, right? Like kind of my silly, crazy aunt vibe, right? That's my comical way of being like, that's just my little token to society and the way that I will be, just existing, right? With the people around me that I love, and I won't feel empty. I won't allow that for myself, because the other answer I've had for people when they say, well, what if 10 years go by and you wished that you would have had a child? I'm not somebody who lives with regret. I almost said a lot of regret, but I really don't live with regret at all. Of course, as a human, I'll think, maybe I should have said that differently or done that slightly, in this vein instead of that. But I don't regret, because it all kind of it is just what it is. It plays out the way it's going to, regardless of what your choice is. And you can beat yourself up, you can lose sleep over stuff, but nobody's got time for that. I need sleep. When I'm staying awake at night, it's usually because I'm excited about something, or I'm just like, I've got some sort of nervous energy, or I didn't move my body enough. I'm not going to fill it with regret. Okay. So I'm asking and calling you in to have the same thing. But when people ask me questions like that, the thing is, there are so many different choices that I can make 10 years from now. If I really felt called to, fostering a life in that form, like as a mother, I can foster, I can adopt. There's so many things, but I don't know if that's going to be my choice. But I want to use these examples and these questions that I've had to debunk the idea that, just be so scared of the unknown, for one, and to remind you that sometimes those kind of head-on questions make you kind of go, well, hold on, let me think for a second. What does that look like? What does that make me feel right now versus later? Because later on doesn't really, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to feel. And there's a myriad of different ways and things that you can do at those different junctures as you hit them. I don't know about you, but I feel lighter when I talk about things like this in life, because so many times we hold in, maybe if we're struggling mentally, or maybe with a decision that we're making, that you're afraid of what your mom or your parent or your significant other is going to think about when you say it out loud. And this was like, I feel like, even though I've said it out loud a million times over, for some reason putting it here and knowing that, it could open up bigger conversations for all of us makes me so happy, makes me feel grounded, makes me feel like I know I'm on the right path. And I want that for you too. So I'm really inviting you to do the same. And even if you don't have any big kind of tasking type thoughts, choices, ideas, decisions that you have made or you're on the brink of making, still think about, are you being as open with yourself and the people around you as you can be about the life that you're building, about the things that you are called to or not called to, right? Can you take a little quiet moment here as you end this episode, or schedule a little time this week to sit quietly with yourself and think if there's anything that you want to articulate out into this world with one person, many people, with your community, whatever it is, differently, more buoyantly, just in a bigger way. I dare you to explore what that looks like, see what it feels like. Maybe if it's even a conversation with somebody that you've kind of been holding back on, and this is just your nudge to go like, you know what, letting it out of my body and my mind no matter what the outcome is what I need right now. And this was the nudge. As always, I would love to hear, drop in the comments, how you're feeling about this idea, how you're, navigating, if you have any big things that you are proud of making decisions on for yourself, first and foremost, and where that's taking you, or if something was kind of jolted awake in you and there's something that you kind of want to work towards being more communicative and open about. I would love to hear it. And of course, cheer you on, hold space and support for you as that comes to life, because you're not in it alone. As I know I'm not in it alone when I'm going through life or navigating my own choices. So enjoy the process of kind of opening up that flower of communication about who you are, what you do in this life, and how those choices are going to just kind of move into the world, because it does affect other people, right? My choice of not having children does affect other people as well. But at the end of the day, it's what's best for ourselves, intrinsically what we need and what we know to be true. So kind of give yourself that space to simmer and see what feels good for you in whatever it is, whatever stage of life you are in, and allow it to be a safe space, because it is.